Behind the Mic is live on this Thursday night, June the 14th, 2018. Kings Cove, the Toyota Sports Center, as we always are on Thursday evenings, just off of Nash Street here in El Segundo. Brad Dalius, Keith Jackson inside, online as well at BehindTheMicShow.com. Take us with you on the go. Download the official Behind the Mic app. We're streaming live tonight on Facebook. Go to the Behind the Mic Facebook page, YouTube Live, Periscope, Twitter, you name it. We're covering all the gamuts here on Behind the Mic. As we get going, a busy golf day, first round of the U.S. Open in New York, Shinnecock. We talked about this last night on the program with Luke Norris from Fansided, and we knew it was going to be rough, and it really didn't disappoint in that regard. It was very difficult for a lot of guys today. We'll get into it in just a bit. In addition to that, we'll play a little 10 questions tonight here on Behind the Mic. NBA draft is coming up a week from today, believe it or not, next Thursday. We'll do a little mock draft here on Behind the Mic and kind of give you some thoughts on who maybe could be a sleeper pick in this draft. Guys, teams who are picking maybe down towards the end of the first round or middle of the first round, maybe potentially they can snag somebody there. We'll talk about it. In addition to the Dodgers and the Angels as well. Dodgers are off tonight. They open up a 3-game set at home against the Giants this weekend, but 3 in a row for the boys in blue after sweeping Texas last night. We talked about that game, Keith, when we were at Grunion's and how there was a little brawl breaking out. Matt Kemp was a little unhappy at what happened. What happened, actually, because I went home after and I watched the end of the game. Dodgers won it in 11 innings, 3-2. But what happened on that play, the reason why Kemp was so upset was that he was out by a mile at home plate. There was a play at the plate. He was a runner rounding third base coming home. They had him out by a mile, like I said, but he decided to kind of, knock the ball out of the he tried to at least knock the ball out of the catcher's mitt and wasn't able to do so. He was a little bit too physical, though, and they weren't too happy about that. And there was a little pushing, and then Kemp wasn't happy that he retaliated, and that's what kind of got everything going. And that's the brawl that broke out there last night. It's just funny, though, how you brought up last night, too, about how it's almost like this crazy thing where all these guys come out, the whole bench is clear, the bullpen, coaches, you name it, everyone is fair game.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think there needs to be a rule set in play, like I had said yesterday, that doesn't have – it's just like the NBA. Like the guys can't leave the floor, they can't leave the bench after something has happened. I think it should be the same way because what happens is other guys get into it and then people can get hurt. So I think they need to do a better job of that. But, I understand. I get it. They're competitors and this and that. But it's almost like a little rule of thumb with baseball guys that if you don't go leave the bullpen, like your teammates will be upset with you. So it doesn't, I think all in one, these guys are all getting paid a lot of money. Why risk an injury,
Exactly. That's just it. Why risk anything happening in that regard? Although we see it time and time again, you would think people would learn, but they risk it. They're willing to always risk it. So we're off and running here on this Thursday night from Kings Cove inside the Toyota Sports Center. If you're just joining us, Behind the Mic. Lots to get into tonight. I do want to talk about the U.S. Open, the first round today, because you have people keep saying today, I've heard just kind of, the drive-by media and everyone saying that, some of these guys shot 80s or 78s. They're like, I could have shot maybe high 80s, maybe an 88, maybe an 89. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No way.
If guys like Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth are shooting 78 and 80s today, you, my friends, wherever you may be out there, if you're claiming you can play with some of the best on the tour, you're probably shooting like 98.
Yeah, 100.
And that's if you're good.
100.
Because, this course, they brought the players to their knees today.
Yeah.
As it did in 04.
It did, and we said it. Look, with Tiger's situation, it was a dreadful first round, and they said I told you, it can either go either way. It can go great for him, or it can go basically just a black hole for him. And basically that's what it was. It was a black hole for him. It was like quicksand. He just kept sinking and sinking and sinking. He couldn't get out. And to the point where I don't think he's going to make the cut because he's so far deep.
8 over today. 78.
That's ridiculous. It's like, whoa, that's wow. And then just for food for thought, there's a lot of other guys, top guys as well, that are in the same boat as him. Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, We had mentioned Jordan Speed. These are guys, Roy McIlroy. These guys are usually they finish first, in the top 5 at least, and they're sitting down in the bottom. You don't even know if they going to make the first cut or not. So, but Dustin Johnson is on a roll and he's at the top, and that's great for him. But for Tiger and those guys, I don't think they have a chance to get back. I mean, that is just. I mean, they have to be incredible tomorrow in order to even
make the cut.
To make weight. Yeah, you just want to make the cut. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, making the cut is going to be just a challenge in itself. Because, I mean, you look at it, it just depends if some of these scores increase tomorrow. And if they don't, right now, Dustin Johnson, like you said, -1. He's tied for the lead. That was a great round considering. I think he got to -3 today. That was the best he got. And then a couple more bogeys towards the end of the round. But still, if let's say that stays where it's at, maybe the cut is, let's say it's like, if it's +4, there's no way Tiger's making it.
No.
Or any of those guys at +8. There's no way. There's not 4 birdies out there tomorrow. I think Tiger had only 1 solo birdie today on a par 5.
Yeah, they almost had one on the 12 and they missed it.
He was close. It was interesting how last night you were talking about how obviously Tiger, he's got to have a good short game this week.
Yeah.
He's got to chip it well. He's got to putt well. He actually didn't do too bad chipping today. He had a couple really nice chips around the green that came within about 5 feet or less of the cup.
It was a long ball.
Yeah, it was a long ball. And, well, you know what? He hit a lot of fairways. I think he was a little inconsistent a bit. And here's the thing. Like, if you miss it there, even in the first intermediate rough, you're totally screwed with that.
Yeah.
I mean, forget about the longer stuff. That stuff is tough as it is because it's buried there in the weeds, but it's even buried in the shorter stuff on the first rough cut.
He was in the weeds a lot today.
Yeah, he was. He was in the weeds.
He was in the weeds.
He found the sand, a couple different bunkers.
Yeah, he could have told you what was crawling in there as many times he was in there.
It's
it was at the point. I mean, this course is so intimidating to me.
Yeah, it's like a game of inches because if you just miss an inch, it's going to roll 50 feet, seemingly.
You look at the players' body languages, and it felt like they wanted to give up. I mean, Tiger's body language in general, it was just like, what else could happen right now? It looked like he wanted to give up, man. And like at one point in time, like you can see the frustration.
He was frustrated.
It was frustrating, but I think he'll bounce back. Look, it's the first day. And you don't know what to come of it. I think tomorrow they probably have, and he played aggressive. They said, he went out. Of course, he's partnered with Dustin Johnson, and so he had to come out, and he came out aggressive, and his aggressive play hurt him. And it's like it's a give and take. It's either you're going to play aggressive or you're going to play kind of like basically nonchalant, and then hopefully that something can happen after that, But he went out, he played aggressive, and it bit him today. So I don't know. Maybe he'll have a different approach tomorrow that would probably go in his favor.
He'll need it. I don't know if a different approach is going to happen more so than – it probably depends on the weather. That wind didn't help today.
No.
It was really gusting around up there. If the wind can die down a bit, if it stays dry, there could be some scores. It could lower a little bit. But as you figure, as the weekend goes along, I can't imagine the scores are really going to increase too much. Last night when we were talking with Luke, he kind of mentioned, obviously, how the USGA, United States Golf Association, they hate seeing those 15 under, 10 under scores in U.S. Opens. So they've been doing everything they can to keep those scores down from players achieving it. Mission accomplished on day 1. We'll see if that continues on day 2. My guess is it probably will. I don't know. Like I said, I don't see things changing so much. But the big thing is it affected all these guys. Yeah, Tiger was bad, but it affected McIlroy, Spieth, Mickelson, all the different guys we mentioned. Dustin Johnson was kind of like the lone guy there, the outlier.
Yeah.
And his game is clicking on all cylinders right now. If you watch him play, he really has the complete makings to be honestly, like, to separate himself from the pack and be somewhat of a star in this era of golf. As we talked about, though, before, that remains to be seen if a guy like him or other guys who have shown flashes of it can do it consistently. Because that's what Tiger had done in the past. That's what Mickelson did for a stretch there. Can you do it consistently? And that's what kind of keeps people more intrigued versus just, us golf fans who watch for Tiger. To kind of grab that audience to stick, kind of keep us with you a little bit more.
But I'm gonna tell you,
that's what it'll take.
But I'm tell you something. Look, this is not over. Guys that we thought nobody thought, some of these guys are up sitting at the top. Sam Burns, Charles Howell III.
It's been a long time for him.
Scott Percy, who's sitting at the top right now, tied for first with Dustin Johnson. Like some of these guys, we never thought this would happen. They're just, today I think, and again, these guys got on the fairway later on in the day, so they already kind of knew what was going on and what type of approach to make. Tiger, those guys jumped off in the beginning into early, so
right.
I think tomorrow will be a lot of these guys that we know that are capable of winning it. I think these guys will make a comeback and they'll get right back into it. They just have to have a better. They definitely have to shoot under from here on out. But I think a lot of them they'll make a run for it and they'll get back in the race.
It's a 4-way tie right now at the end of day one. We mentioned Dustin Johnson. He's up there. Ian Poulter as well. He's the lone non-American in that 4-way tie for first at the moment. You kind of look down. Obviously, another notable, Justin Rose, 1 over for the day. Not too bad. Charlie Hoffman, another guy who's kind of making some noise recently, did that at the Masters as well back in April. Henrik Stenson shoots a 1 over par on today's first round. So you have a couple notables there. Like you said, though, Keith, there is some unknowns as well. Charles Howe is funny. I mean, he's seemingly, we haven't heard from him in forever.
No.
So he shoots a good round today. Go figure. Sometimes we see this at U.S. Open. Guys just kind of come out of nowhere, and they're able to rise to the top of the leaderboard maybe at the end of day one or day two. We're definitely seeing that today. And then, obviously, we mentioned some of the more guys who are more household names are back towards the end. I mean, Tiger is tied for 110th, something like that, after day one. So a lot of work to be done, obviously, with round one of the U.S. Open in the books. Next year, actually, it's coming back to California for Pebble Beach in 2019, which is going to be a lot of fun. And you're going to get Pebble Beach. I think next year as well, the Open Championship, the British Open in July, is going to be at St. Andrews, the old course there. So next year sets up really well. They were kind of talking about that today with Mickelson, that this was maybe people were somewhat optimistic that he could maybe get things done this week because it's a course that he's somewhat familiar with, being there close and coming up short back in 2004 in the past. But they're like, if he doesn't get it done this year, maybe next year at Pebble Beach, another course that kind of is catered friendly to his game right now. So he's still trying to get that career Grand Slam. Hasn't been able to win the U.S. Open yet. If he doesn't do it this year, that's just saying maybe next year, and then the book closes. But I think it's interesting. More people were more optimistic about Phil's chances coming into this week than Tiger. At least there was a certain group that was. Which I'm not sure I really ever saw that. I wasn't able to really see how they came to that conclusion.
Yeah.
I thought, like I was making the case the other day, this is an event that Tiger would, the way he's been playing recently, it builds up to him playing par golf, like you said, just playing someone on the defensive, par every hole. Obviously, if you start off with a triple bogey, that's a little hard to get back at that. And I think he started +4 on the day.
Yeah.
Triple and then a bogey on the second there.
But I also think that people think that is because, look, Phil Mickelson's he's a likable guy.
Sure.
Everybody loves him. Tiger Woods, same thing. And these are guys that have been dominating in this game for a long time. And so they want to see them back. They're in the back end of their careers. They want to see that again just one more time. They want to see it one more time. And, it's just, hey, it's not their time, It's you got new guys in here that are dominating the game, and the game has changed a lot. And Tiger and those guys, they're really happy with and content with just making the cut. I think for the most part, just in my opinion, I think they want if they get a chance, if they're there, if they're close, then they're going to try to win it. like everybody, but they're happy if they just make the cut and then make it to the finals.
Get some a little notoriety.
Yeah, those guys, like, look, my time was up. We had our battles and stuff like that. Let these guys have their shine now. But, again, I think they look at it as, okay, if that last round, if we're all close to winning this, then, yeah, we're going to go for it. So that's how I think they're approaching the game.
You have to do that. You have to do that. You have to be open to that type of play and that type of mindset in order to get through an event like this. So we'll see. We'll see how things go tomorrow for round 2 coming up from Shinnecock, U.S. Open 2018 tomorrow on Friday. Everything else that's going on today, we have a lot to get into tonight. We're going to speak with Mike Babcock. He's a friend of the program here from FS1 TMZ Sports. Talk about the Kellen Winslow situation that kind of broke within the last couple of hours.
It's huge right now.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that with him just past the bottom of the hour, so we'll get into that. Like I said, I want to do a little NBA mock draft tonight as well. We'll discuss everything that's going on with that as we get ready to be just about a week out. Next Thursday is the big one. And one guy who's making headlines as well is Michael Porter Jr., we'll talk about him tonight and some things that are going on with him and off the field or off the court type of health issues as well. So, like I said, Dodgers are off tonight. They'll get back at it tomorrow night. We'll take on San Francisco, 3-game set over at Dodger Stadium. And one thing I did see today, Keith, in the headlines was that so we talked about earlier this week of the program, Christian Hackenberg was let go from the Oakland Raiders. John Gruden really said he hated to do it. They needed to make room for different guys on the roster to kind of fill in defensive gaps and defensive holes.
Yeah.
Basically, today, Gruden came out and he said that he blames the CBA for Hackenberg's struggles. And I thought this was kind of funny. To me, and you can really appreciate this specifically if you're a Penn State fan and you follow Christian Hackenberg. Even people who aren't Penn State fans and followed him throughout his career in college and into the NFL, it's always been so many different excuses for this guy.
Yeah.
He's got talent, there's no doubt, but there's been so many different excuses. I mean, when he was at Penn State, when he struggled, when they kind of transitioned over from Bill O'Brien to James Franklin, they said, well, there's a new playbook. So, you know what I mean? They kind of blamed it on the playbook. They blamed it on 2 different schemes, different things like that. And then when he comes to the NFL, he's with the Jets. It's an organization that's had a hard time getting out of its own way. So they kind of got that excuse. And, it's just kind of one thing after another. It's just kind of funny. It really is just one of those
now
things.
He's getting a bid to go with the Patriots and go play with he's actually meeting with them soon. So that's interesting enough.
Well, that would be a good landing spot.
He's going to be over there. He's meeting with them. But, I understand. I mean, look, they're shooting for him. They want him to do well, and it hasn't just worked out for him. But I don't know. Maybe him going to a system that's going to – look, to me, historically, Raiders is always like the last stop. That was always known.
It's been like that last 10, 15 years.
But look, he'll probably be a great backup. He can learn from Brady. They don't really have the rookie coming in and but they probably need a veteran to push him a little bit. So, it's possible. They still got Brian Hoyer there. Maybe
they could use some depth.
Yeah, some depth. Maybe you put him on a practice squad or something like that until you think he's well. But if anybody can get you right, Belichick can get you right.
That is true. There's no denying that one, right?
There's no denying it. Yeah.
Just getting started here, Kings Cove, the Toyota Sports Center on this Thursday night. Brad and Keith taking you to 9 o'clock online, BehindTheMicShow.com. Also download the Behind the Mic app. On the other side, Mike Babcock coming up from TMZ Sports. We'll play 10 questions and more here on Behind the Mic. Stick around.
Every 17 minutes, Make-A-Wish makes the impossible possible. They tame dragons. They bring Saturn to Earth.
All right, we can go ahead and call him.
They help superheroes save entire cities.
You know his number?
They even make
yeah.
fly.
Hang on. No, hang on.
Strength they need to fight their critical illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's
Thanks.
a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept.
Yeah, big difference tonight with the light. I mean, big difference.
Yeah.
Promises to oneself.
Looks good.
It does.
Promises
How you
to
get
one's
people views?
community.
Did you get any views?
We did. We got more
Promises
views on when I actually
to
like
one's country.
picked out the interview
Okay.
and like different clips. Kind of I think
In
more
the heart
so
of
people
every
watch that.
Marine,
At least to
interview?
become accustomed
You'll
to
find
seeing us
promises.
live. Yeah, they listen to the interviews
A promise.
when it's live. No, I didn't get
Forever
it yet.
kept.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
A promise of
Yeah,
battles
people
won.
listen to that.
Yeah, they do. People love the interviews.
They're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody buckle up.
So I think the angle approach, we can also talk about that for him, but also
Which
how-
one?
Like we said, like I told him, like how they're on the right track. You know, we thought they were on the right track.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's like setback after
A
setback.
lot goes on
Yeah.
in the car,
No,
but
there's
you're
a lot
in
to talk
control.
about.
So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never
thing
give
how
up until
TMT
they
is
buckle
trained,
up. Learn more
they're
at
trained just to give you the facts.
safercar.gov/kidsbuckle
Which
up.
is good.
A message from the National
But yeah,
Highway
we
Traffic
like a
Safety
little
Administration
color
and
to
the
it
Ad
as
Council.
well, obviously.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037. Me in the future, I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
All right. Don't expect to be part
Thanks.
of my
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging
All right, do it
system.
again.
732.
Probably took a call.
Your call has been forwarded
Took a
to an
call.
automated voice messaging system.
No problem.
7.
We'll try them again in like a minute or so.
Yeah. Every time I race. Oh, he says he's calling now.
There it is. Here he is. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Brad? How are you?
Good. How are you,
How's it
man?
going?
Good.
What's
Doing
up,
well.
Mike? I figured you were making a phone. You're on the phone making a phone call, breaking some stories.
Yeah. You know, I'm always trying.
Got to do.
We're on break right now, Mike, so we're good. You hear me?
Okay,
you hear us
cool.
clear though?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep, I hear you. I hear you good. Last week was tough. The crowd was going crazy.
Oh yeah, that's true. See your
The
boy,
NBA Finals.
your boy Conor McGregor
I know, that was pretty crazy today.
and Triple G going to
You see the video of him? It was very different Conor McGregor. He was,
yeah, he's humble.
He was very calm. He apologized. That's not like him.
No, he was very humble last night.
He was.
Earlier today.
Because they're trying to cut a deal.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, he's facing like 7 years in jail. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
he's-
not
They're
good.
trying to cut a
It's
deal.
not good.
Do you think he's gonna go? He's not gonna get no jail time though. Come on, man.
I don't think so.
Probation, probably what?
I think he'll get a couple years probation and have
Yeah.
to do community service.
Exactly.
That's what I think.
They're not gonna send him to the jail.
He's got to hope they don't take away his visa, though, because if they take away his visa and he can't work here, that'd obviously be a huge problem.
Expect Floyd to troll him on this. You know that.
I know. I know.
He's waiting because he's
I
like,
love that.
he's waiting. He is waiting, man. He is waiting. So that's crazy. How's Lucas doing? How's my young Lucas?
Young Lucas is doing okay. He's been doing pretty good, actually.
Really? Well, LeBron James leaving?
I want to say his brother coaches there, coaches like football.
Oh man, you better.
So apparently he was looking too. Yeah.
Oh, for real? Yeah. So I know.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
so
sure.
hopefully we'll figure that out.
Y'all can get into that too. Yeah. I know Evan was like, "What?" I know if you told him, I know he was awesome.
I know. Hell yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, man. They gonna," but supposedly it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Supposedly it's true. Supposedly, like Gary Payton wasn't lying about that. He wasn't lying about that. That would make him look bad. That would make him hella bad if he wasn't lying about that.
Absolutely.
You know, he just leaked it, and then they didn't want to say anything. And then when I found out from Ed and Chevalier, I was like, "Is it true?" He was like, "Yeah, it's the middle school though. He's going to be in 8th grade next year."
Wow.
So people was like, "High
That's
school."
your old coach, right?
Yeah.
Chevalier?
Yeah. All right, we about to start, brother. Hold on.
Okay, cool. I'm ready.
Take us with you on the go wherever you may be. Download that official Behind the Mic app today. Check out our podcast on iHeartRadio. And as mentioned tonight, we're streaming live online, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. You'll find us Behind the Mic. So lots of ways to watch the program this evening. Now, let's bring in a good friend of the show, Keith.
Yes, sir.
TMZ Sports' Mike Babcock joins us now on the line to discuss one Kellen Winslow, who the public hasn't heard from in quite a long time now, but he did make news today just a couple of hours ago. Mike, what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, what's up, Brad and Keith? Kellen Winslow made the wrong kind of news today, and it's actually an incredibly serious situation. Kellen Winslow was arrested in San Diego about 1 p.m. Pacific time today for kidnapping and rape, and he's facing life in prison, guys.
Oh my God, that is insane, man. And you know, we were just talking about the Jets yesterday, Mike, about just in terms of Sam Darnold as a possibility of him starting, and you know, they're getting on the right track, and then now you have this situation that's happened already, and you have Robbie Anderson Jr. that's had a domestic violence feud back, a while back, and then all of a sudden he's coming out and saying that he's not going to get suspended. So it looks like the Jets are just not on the right path right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kellen Winslow, he hasn't played football in a couple of years. He actually stepped away. I want to say it was in 2013 when he was on the Jets, Keith.
Yep.
But look, Kellen Winslow was arrested last week, exactly a week ago, Thursday, for burglary. And his people came out very strongly and said that he had been falsely accused and that he wasn't burglarizing this property, which happened to be at a mobile home park for elderly people. They said that he was just looking at properties for a family member. And then this blockbuster today where, we get a call right in the afternoon there. We're about to head home, and we get this call that he is charged with 9 criminal charges, and some of the most serious charges that you could imagine. You're talking 2 counts of kidnapping with intent to commit rape, 2 counts of forcible rape, sodomy. It just goes on. And like I said, this is not something where, you have Conor McGregor in the news today, and a lot of people think, although he's facing 7 years in jail, that he could, just wind up with probation here. With Kellen Winslow Jr., you're literally talking about a guy who may never step foot again outside of jail.
Yeah, that's sad to see. He's only like 33, 34, Mike. I mean, he's a young guy still. You mentioned he last played in the
34
league.
years old.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost hard to fathom when these type of situations come up, especially for guys who are so young. Like you said, he last played in the league back in 2013. What's he been doing for the past 5 years or so? What's he been doing recently? Do you have any knowledge of that?
It's funny because not too long ago, or maybe a year or so ago, I actually talked to Kellen Winslow. He had gotten into cycling, and he was taking it really seriously. He told me at the time that he wanted to turn professional in cycling, and that's something that he was really working on. And we know back from his playing days, he's a guy that was a tremendous athlete, probably the biggest guy in a bike anywhere around. But I know he was really working towards that goal, and he seemed like a nice guy. It's something that when I heard it today from a personal standpoint, I was really surprised because there are some people you just don't think that something like this is coming down the pike for them. And, sure enough, though, he's in jail right now.
It sucks that, this guy made the Pro Bowl in 2007. And, the way he is, like you said, you see him, he's doing other things like cycling and trying to get his, do everything outside of football, do the right thing. And then you turn around and you look at it, he has a whole dark side to him. And it's insane to see that. And it's just like, wow, you don't even think someone is capable of doing all these things.
That's just it. I know.
Sure. Now, I shouldn't make him sound like an angel. This isn't the first time, and last week isn't the first time that he had been in any trouble. He had gotten into an incident a couple years ago at a shopping mall. It wasn't his finest moment. The cop said he was touching himself in the Target parking lot, and he had synthetic marijuana on him, according to cops. So he's had some stuff in the past, but I think everybody thought he was a pretty decent guy.
It really sucks because you think, what do the Jets even think about? Like, this guy was in their organization for a long time.
I think a lot of teams think that. Yeah,
and it's just like I'm sure players, the way you are, Mike, shocked that this happened, especially because you talked to this guy on a personal level on things before about the cycling and all this stuff. I'm sure they're just like, wow. I'm sure this guy has been around some of the players' kids before and their wives and family, and then this happens. I mean, I don't know. Have you guys ever talked to any of the players yet that probably was past players on his team yet or anything like that?
No, not yet. That's probably something that I'll do tomorrow over the next couple days. This is kind of something that's still unfolding. The details of the alleged crime are not even out yet. All we know are the charges, but we don't even know the circumstances surrounding what the cops say happened. He is going to be arraigned tomorrow in San Diego, so they're going to read these charges in front of him, and I anticipate tomorrow that there will be more details that'll be released. We'll obviously have that on TNTSports.com.
Yeah, you mentioned, Keith, about how the Jets' former teams, I think it doesn't matter if it's a player or a coach, whenever these situations arise, they always think to themselves that there's something that we could have done maybe to help. And I think sometimes we almost fall into that trap of, almost like that guilty conscience sometimes, Mike. And I think that's not always fair, especially now when so many different guys, we talked about this before, when similar guys, when different situations have come up in the past, whether it be Johnny Manziel or other guys. But something I always really credit Johnny Manziel for is how he was able to get help.
Yeah.
And whether that was on his own or, you credit his family, I think his family definitely plays a big role in that. But with so many different outlets today, you really want to see everyone get the help that they can. So it's just a tough predicament. There's no other way to kind of slice it, I think.
Yeah, with Johnny Manziel, he has relayed this to me personally, that he had a lot of demons. He had problems with alcohol and drugs. And I think he hit rock bottom, and he happened to meet a person who was really influential in his life, and his now wife, Briziesi. But he dragged himself out of that deep, dark hole that he was in, and now he's playing professional football again, albeit not in the NFL, but he's in the CFL, and I think he's on the path to that, to hopefully getting back in the NFL one day. So you're right. When things go wrong or when you don't have the game in your life anymore, there's a fork. You can go either the wrong way or you can try to get help and go the right way. And some guys, make the right choice and they're able to get help, and some guys aren't. And I think when you're not able to get help, then you're facing life in prison like Kellen Winslow.
You know, we look here, and as soon as I saw this story and I saw everyone pick it up, I said, hold on. We have to go to the TMZ Sport because I know Mike Babcock
you have to go to the master.
over there. They're on top of this. And you look now, and they have everything what's going on, and I'm sure you guys are still on top of this until the end. So, we're going to definitely be following you guys and kind of get a report on what's going on with this story.
Absolutely. We'll be on top of it. We'll be on top of it all day tomorrow, and whatever the latest happens to be, we will definitely have it on the website.
Mike Babcock, TMZ Sports, joining us here on Behind the Mic once again with the latest surrounding Kellen Winslow Jr. Hey, Mike, who you got in the World Cup? Who you rooting for?
Oh, the U.S.?
Yeah, I wish.
They wish they made it.
I don't, guys, to be honest, I'm not a soccer guy. On our television show, we had to pick teams, and I tried to pick Germany, but then they were yelling at me because they're the favorite. So I don't know. Who's going to win this thing?
I don't know, man. I'm going for Brazil, man. I don't know. USA, it really sucks. I was talking to Brad about this earlier, Mike. It was like, this is the first time USA didn't make the team, the World Cup, and it sucks. And I know you guys know some guys who played in soccer in the USA team, and I'm sure they've been embarrassed and afraid when you guys see them and out there, they've been embarrassed not to talk or anything like that. And it's a shame that they didn't make it. So now we're forced. Here we are. In the United States, USA is our team, and we're rooting for like other countries. Look, I'm gonna root for Brazil. They're the mecca of soccer, so I'm gonna go with them.
It's fair enough.
Yeah, I see a lot of people, look into their ancestry and rooting for the places that their families came from. So whatever you got to do to get interested and to pick a team and to have someone to root for, I'm down for that.
Hey, Mike, I got a question, just even off the subject. You guys got out Tyronn Lue at Craig's the other night with Chauncey Billups.
Having dinner.
And it's, everybody's been lately, I'm sure you guys have covered it as well, about LeBron James, where is he going? And it was interesting to see with Tyronn Lue, he didn't say anything, but his expression. When you guys asked the question where LeBron, what's going on with LeBron, is LeBron staying? He kind of just looked and he took a breath, and you said he just like nodded his head. And I was like, wow.
He looked dejected. He looked frustrated. That's why we put the video up on the website, because, when they told me that we had seen Coach Lue out, they said, he didn't answer any of the questions that we asked him. But then I watched the footage, and I said, his body language speaks volumes here. He looks frustrated and he looks worn down, which is understandable just coming off the season. But I thought that spoke very loudly, and I didn't think that was very optimistic if you're a Cavs fan.
Oh, no, exactly.
No, and especially with Ty Lue at this point, probably his biggest concern still has to be his health, right? I don't know. I mean, obviously he took that leave at the end of last year and he came back, but I would imagine he's not 100%. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot on his mind. That's the biggest thing, regardless of the LeBron stuff.
Yeah, what's funny, this video, though, that they got speaks a lot of volume, because I know a lot of people are going to watch this tomorrow. I know you guys put this up later on today, but a lot of people are going to watch that, and they're going to talk about that, because body language alone, like you would think, if you knew your main player was coming back, you'll be happy. I don't care if you won a championship. You get another shot at it next year. But the body language
if
after
LeBron's on your team, you got a chance to
exactly. And even Chauncey Billups wasn't even walked in. He just didn't say anything at all. And I really do think that's bad news for the land, man. I really do.
Absolutely. Everybody's speculating where LeBron's going to go. I know I don't need to tell you guys that. People are putting bets down, looking at betting odds, and I really did. When you have the head coach and he responds like he responded, I think that really did speak loudly.
Hey, it's going to get crazier before it gets calmer at this point. It is the summer of LeBron.
Right, we didn't even start yet. We didn't even get started yet.
I know.
This is going to get that much more wilder. It's going to be fun.
Mike Babcock once again joining us, TMZ Sports. Always a good time. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it.
Brad and Keith, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Take care, man.
There he goes. Once again, Mike Babcock joining us here on Behind the Mic with the latest in regards to Kellen Winslow Jr., this incident. whether it's him, Keith, the news, it's tough to really digest something like that. I think, former football players who are involved with off-the-field illegal stuff like this, I kind of think of Darren Sharper from a couple years back and that situation. So it's not good, and you just you hope that something good comes out of it. I don't know what that may be, but probably at this point, any of the victims that are involved in this case. So.
Well, what sucks about it is a lot of these guys, I don't know if it was, when they leave football, some of these guys leave.
Bored.
They're bored.
Yeah.
They're depressed. Probably financially, they're not even stable because they probably spent all their money or burned all their money during the time they were making it. And, some of them, I've talked to football players. I know many of them that said, after 5 years, you can go 5 years supposed to get a pension, but it's the amount of games you play and how much time you put in those games in order to get your NFL pension.
Yeah.
So some of these guys may sit on the bench and not never get a pension, or not play enough minutes to get their pension. And I don't know. I don't know what it was, but you would think that depression is big. Mental health is
huge.
Big. And I think when I look at this and I heard about this, and I know Mike and those guys talked to him before, and he sounded like he was in good spirits when he was doing cycling and all this stuff. And then he just does a complete 360, and it's like he's gotten in trouble before, sodomizing himself in a parking lot, to now all these counts of things he's done. That's a mental health issue. And I wish, and I'm hoping that some of his teammates and guys have reached out to him and his family and tried to help this man, because, with this, if they did, or even if they didn't and they kind of just let it go, this is what happens, people, when you let things go and don't reach out and help someone that they self-destruct, and now this guy's facing life imprisonment, will never probably even walk as a free man ever again in life, after this. So it's very important that people get out there and really look out for each other. Teammates, you got teammates that are probably going through an issue, even if you think they are, and you just, something's just off about them, reach out, just see if they're all right, help them, whatever they need to do, because you just never know. You can save their life. And this man right here, I'm sure many of guys probably reached out or probably didn't. And whatever you did, you have that conscience on your heart, at least I tried something,
Exactly. Yeah, the little things count sometimes. We talk about how, specifically in the NBA, when guys are coming into the league or are thinking about coming into the league early, right out of high school or, one and done, out of college, that maybe the NBA can create something in addition to the G League. There's been talk about forming some type of a league that kind of prepares guys who don't want to go to college to get them ready for the NBA. Maybe they could do similar things in other sports. How about, though, on the opposite end of things? When they're leaving the sport, transitioning out of the sport back into some type of job in society that's not in professional sports, obviously, professional athletics. How about something like that? How about some kind of program that would transition these guys? Look, the money's there to put something like that together. I don't know what it exactly would entail. I don't know what type of manpower it would take to put something like that to fruition, to get it going on a regular basis. But it's worth kicking the can around on.
Yeah.
We talk about, like I said, getting guys prepared for the league, but how about transitioning them outside of it and transitioning them away from Major League Baseball or the NBA or the NFL, any of the professional sports leagues? Yeah. That's something to think about. It could definitely help a lot of different guys. You mentioned, Keith, mental illness is huge, obviously, right now. It's come to light not only in the sports world, but we've seen that in other areas as well. So I don't think that would necessarily be a bad idea to try something like that, to at least get the discussion going on it. Because right now, there's just no really, as far as mental health goes, we're starting to get discussion going on it, but it's really brand new, especially to sports.
Yeah.
So I think if we can continue to, it's got to be about the player's whole experience. They got to get them prepared to go into the league, got to get them prepared to leave it. The options. We have a lot of options now in general. I think maybe it's just a matter of organizing some of those options for people. That would maybe could help in a situation like this to prevent, going down a path. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, it's the individual's responsibility to reach out to those certain areas that are there. But this is something that maybe could benefit. I don't know. It's worth it. And it's worth maybe talking about.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, absolutely. I believe I agree with you all the way. I think there needs to be something in play.
Yep.
That is a requirement for these guys in the beginning of before they step in on the field when they're as rookies, and at the end of the season, at the end of the year when they're retired, because that's where it strikes. It strikes at the retire right when they're retired.
Yes.
Some of these guys, they don't, like I said, their whole life. These guys dream of being on the football field, or these guys, and I'm not just talking about football, basketball as well. These guys dream about playing basketball or hockey, whatever sports like they play and they're dominant. They're like, ever since I was young, I wanted to be a professional, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's ingrained in them.
It is, and then they don't have a backup plan after that. There's no backup plan. It's like if that doesn't happen, my life is over, and they don't see anything else in front of them. They don't think they can do anything else. And
we got to change the dialogue.
Yeah, and I think that's where it starts. And I think now you see the NFL starting to do more. They have, we had Jerry Porter on before, and he said he was going to broadcasting school for the NFL. They have those type of things. But the problem is that's the only thing they have.
Broadcasting.
And it's broadcasting. Some of these guys are not used to it. Like, do you very well you get a Kobe Bryant of the world or a LeBron James who's doing things out in like an entertainment industry and things like that. You don't see a lot of that going on with the football players. You see Gronkowski, who's trying to step into the movie business, or he's trying to start leaning in towards that way and transitioning into a whole nother field of things.
Yeah.
And, these are the type of things you got to monitor because, look, the thing is that if that doesn't work out, what's next for them? They panic and they end up saying, I want to get back on the football field, then I can't do it anymore. And then they can't. Because they're physically not ready, they're not prepared for that anymore. So, it is definitely a topic that needs to be talked about. I think that the NFL and others need to make it a requirement that these guys talk to. And there's nothing wrong with talking to therapists and things like that, just to get the right mindset of what's next to come and stuff like that. It's not saying you're crazy or anything like that, but if you don't attack it from the start, then things like this is going to happen all the time. So I hopefully something is done about it, because once they're in that club in the NFL, once these guys, they, like you seeing now on the website and all over everywhere, ESPN, everything, is Kelvin Winslow Jr. is basically, going to jail and facing life in prison. NFL star facing life in prison. That NFL brand is stamped on him, and that doesn't look good for the NFL.
That's a great point. It doesn't, and this kind of reminds you almost of the. It's not comparable to concussions, but you know what I mean. It's got their name, the shield, attached to it.
Exactly.
In that sense.
Exactly.
Well, they got to take different things now. They're yet to really address concussions. Yet they really, I don't think. Last time I checked, I don't think anyone's really acknowledged in the NFL league office that concussions. Actually, that football causes concussions, or that you know what I mean. Like there's a connection between CTE and concussions.
They're kind of staying away from it, but they're trying to dance around it by saying the violent hits and things like that go on. Like, you can't tackle this way,
right?
You can't. They're changing,
and we know they're trying to change different things, make the game safer.
But they're doing it in a way they're not going to admit that, because they know that is the reason why they're changing a lot of the stuff.
They should just admit it, though, Keith, because at this point, it's not going to turn away viewers.
It's not.
It's not. I mean,
it's not going to turn away viewers. It's not going to.
People are still going to tune in.
People still going to get season tickets. It's football is a sport is going to be there for a long time, and there's nothing going to change about it. But they need to be responsible, and this is everything. There's a lot of stuff they have done wrong. And this is what I don't. They have a lot of guys and athletes, but to be honest with you, man, out of every sport, and not to knock NFL players, because I got the utmost respect to a lot of NFL guys, but NFL guys know this too. There's a lot of those guys out of all the sports, they're the ones that get in trouble the most. A lot of them, and that's a problem. Why? Because the league in general is not putting a tight lip on certain things. They're not worried about certain things. So they're a little looser than the NBA is, or you don't hear too much about national hockey, right? You don't hear too much about baseball players.
No, you don't.
You don't hear too much about, and it's not because we don't cover them. No, they're covered just as much as the NBA is covered just as much as the NFL. But you hear a lot about these NFL guys getting into a lot of trouble. I'm not saying that basketball players don't get in trouble. I'm not saying that NHL stars and all down line they don't. But let's be real. If you had a statistic and you look it up, NFL is number one.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's something that you're right. It's not talked about that much, and I don't think people give that a lot of thought to, but you're right. They do have high numbers in regards to off-the-field incidents. They maybe tried to crack down on it a little bit, but they could do better. They could do much better.
Yeah.
The league can do much better with that.
And I'm not saying that NFL guys are bad, 'cause I have the utmost respect for them. I'm not saying that. I'm not dogging it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there has been lately, they've been in the media for off-the-field issues a lot, and there's something wrong. It's just bad for the brand. It is.
90% of the guys are doing it right,
Yeah.
or so. And, there's always going to be a few bad eggs and some guys who make wrong decisions. But to your point, though, yeah, it too little sometimes, or just a little bit, is too much.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even a little bit is too much. You want to see those numbers almost like go down to zero.
Yeah, exactly.
Ideally. Or as little as possible. So it's interesting that's the latest there once again with the Kellen Winslow, if you haven't heard, situation, facing very, very serious charges. He'll be arraigned tomorrow. Let's play a little 10 questions here on Behind the Mic. You ready, Keith?
Let's do it. 10 questions is my favorite segment.
I know. This one I kind of teased a bit earlier on in the show. Michael Porter Jr., his father said recently that they're not going to be releasing his son's medical information to any NBA teams. They're not going to be traveling anywhere to do any kind of workouts either prior to the draft next week. They are going to hold somewhat of a pro day in Chicago coming up at a date to be determined, presumably sometime now and next week. But they're not going to travel. They're not going to release any kind of information. So with all this uncertainty surrounding Porter Jr. at this point, where should he go realistically in the draft? Where should he go? Where should he be picked? Are you willing to take a risk on him? Let's put it this way, in the top 10.
No.
Top 15.
No. Not even top 20.
First round.
No. Second. He's not guaranteed a contract. He's has to me.
I mean, the guy's only played like
the guy
seconds.
had reconstructed back surgery. They had to reconstruct his spine. You can't. He only played 3 games the whole season of his college career. Who cares what he did in high school? Nobody cares about that. Nobody care. I don't care if he is he was one of the top guys in the country. He's still riding off of what he did in high school. No, you went to college.
That's what Camp Porter wants people to know, because he played seconds in college.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, the dude played college basketball. They shouldn't have rushed him back.
Yep.
Okay, but they knew they rushed Missouri, and I think that's Missouri's fault and Michael Porter Jr.'s fault, because you're not looking out for your player, you're looking out for your reputation in your school. And I think they knew that this guy was one and done, and they're saying, why? Let's bring him back. Okay, bring him back, but that's not the best bet for the player. He did not do well. The guy had 6 points in the whole in the NCAA tournament in one game, and he couldn't even knock down his free throws. He did not look good at all. He looked like half step slow. He looked like he just wasn't ready. I saw him when he played high school, and he was dominant. He was great. I was like, wow, he's a good player. But when you have a reconstructed back injury, you're not the same, man. I'm telling you, these injuries,
it just looks sketchy that they're not releasing the medical information.
Yeah, he had reconstructed back surgery. I mean, that's all I have to say. And you're writing off a guy who was the number 1 in the country in high school. He didn't do anything in college. He played a total of 3 games.
It doesn't make any sense, Keith, why he decided to come out now. Really, think about it, makes no sense. Because you say, you don't want to risk injury. He's already injured.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
So
it makes
funny.
no sense why he comes out now, besides the money factor.
It's crazy because I know people that I've talked to, and they're like, I would come out. If you were that kid's father, you wouldn't tell him to go. I'm like, no, I wouldn't have. I would have waited. I'm like, you have a better chance next year. Like, get your back right. Get everything correct. Let's go to rehab on all that stuff. The NBA is always going to be there. You were the number 1 player in the country. Missouri, you put Missouri on when you went there because you went there for your brother because your brother went there. You were the number 1 player in the country. So, look, get a full season in, and then, look, you may go number 1 or 2. Now this guy may possibly not even get out the first round. He's not going the first. To be honest with you, he's not top 10. He's not top 15. I wouldn't personally pay that. I wouldn't give him a guaranteed contract. Absolutely not. He only played 3 games. He didn't look good.
Plus the fact this is a deep draft.
Yes.
There's other guys who can easily take ahead of him.
I'm not looking
at healthy.
I'm not looking at the past. I'm looking at the present. And the present is you had reconstructed back surgery. You didn't look good in the NCAA tournament because that was the first time everyone get to see you nationally play again, and you did not look good. You looked like 3 steps slow from everyone else. He's not ready. He wasn't ready, and if I was his coach, his college, I would think it's a bad idea for you to enter your name in the draft. I think you need to go a full year, get yourself right. And that's looking out for the player.
Exactly.
I'm hoping the coach did that. I don't know if he did or didn't. He probably didn't.
You would have advised that.
But I would have definitely advised that. And it's not looking out for him, but it's looking out for him. And it's not NBA's not going nowhere. Everybody know you can go to the league, but like that, dude. Now you're talking about you got to prove yourself, rush back, risk injury again, and then you're gonna have to prove yourself on a team. That's the same thing. That's the thing about these one and done guys that kills me. They want to be one and done because they just want to get to the league, and then they don't get there. Then what? Then what happens? They go overseas, and then they're not going to be able to get. Then they end up going overseas, and they go to the G League.
It completely changes their career path.
Exactly.
That's kind of the bottom line, right?
Exactly. You don't need to rush, man. Don't need to rush.
Which second-year NFL quarterback, Keith, who's going into year 2, sophomore campaign, if you will have a better 2018 season? Deshaun Watson or Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago?
Man, I'm going with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson.
This is a guy who is kind of actually super underrated right now.
But we got to remember.
A lot of people aren't talking about. Obviously coming off of the ACL, but he's looked good in minicamp.
Deshaun Watson was a problem for the Pats and everyone when he was playing. I watched that game, and I was like, he's a problem. And the way he can escape tackles, the way he can make plays and make smart plays, he's just a spark, man. And he was fun to watch out there. I just think that he's going to pick up where he left off. The only thing about him is, look, he has to think about his knee, and that's it. If he can get over that in the ACL tear and just go out there and play like he was playing last year, he's going to be fine.
I think so, too. I mean, this is a guy who, statistically, before he got hurt last year, was on pace to have one of the best seasons by a quarterback ever.
Yeah.
Just let that one sink in for a second.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald continues to be a no-show, Keith, at camp's minicamp. He hasn't participated in any of the off-season OTAs. Mandatory minicamp this week, not there either. There seems to be no end in sight to this holdout at this point. Should Rams fans be concerned? Big guy on the defense.
Come with Dominican Sue. Forget about Aaron Donald. That's what I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, forget about him. You got a lot of the Rams are they're very talented. One guy doesn't make the whole defense. Wade Phillips and them are going to find and figure out a way to get that defense rolling like they did last year. And to me, honestly, look, you got the best defense. Dominican Sue, who's known for his dirty play. He's very intimidating, but he's a force. And believe me, that's a lot of people. Every time they go up against him, wherever team he's on, people are always worried and concerned. Where is he at all times? I wouldn't care about Aaron Donald, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't be concerned. Bye.
Sticking with the Rams, head coach Sean McVay decided to forego today's minicamp practice, and he actually decided to take the team on a little bit of a field trip. They went over to the new stadium that's being built over in Inglewood, and they went on a little bit of a tour. Do you like the looseness of McVay? I mean, we love McVay at this point, but do you like
to? Yeah,
you like it, right? You have to.
I love it. Look, you get to know your new grounds, your new stopping grounds, where it's at. Inglewood's is the city of champions. That's what they call it. the city of champions over
Yes.
there. And if you want to be part of the city of champions, you got to start breeding it. You got to start feeling it. You got to start smelling it. And why not be there when built from the ground up? Get in there, understand the history of not just the Rams, but the city alone, and what it means over here in LA, and what champions are about, because that's what it is in LA. They're all about championships over here. So I like it. I like the move. I think this is kind of gets them focused and gets them ready. And look, this is something for them to shoot for. Last year, it was making the playoffs, right?
Yep.
At one point in time, what were we talking? We were talking Rams can possibly make the Super Bowl. We
Yeah.
weren't trying to get them ahead of themselves, but that's what we're saying. They got embarrassed in the playoffs in the first round. And
That was just an awful game.
it was awful
against
and,
Atlanta.
And they got something to shoot for now. And they know, like, look, we're in LA. LA, this is not acceptable when you playing over here in LA to get buried in the first round. Like right now, the Lakers, it's not acceptable that they don't make the playoffs. They ain't been in the playoffs at all. It's not going to, that's not acceptable. So, I think this is a great move for Sean McVay, for sure.
Buy or sell Chargers safety Derwin James, who they took out of Florida State, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year this season.
It's early, but I like the move the Chargers did, so I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it. And the reason I'm buying it is because, they picked it up towards the end of the season. We were at one point, let's be honest, they had the toughest schedule, I think, out of everybody in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they figured out a way. And
we were surprised that James actually fell to them at 15, I think, in the first round. We were surprised that he fell that far.
Yeah. We
Thinking
were
they
surprised.
got somewhat of a steal there.
Yeah, they did. And so I'm buying it. I think he's going to be a great guy for them. And I think the Chargers, man, I think you're going to see a different Charger team this year. I still a little upset with Phillip Rivers that he cannot get over the fact that he's in L.A. now and not in San Diego. He's
still working on that
he's
one.
still driving.
By the way, I
from
wonder
San Diego to
how
L.A. for practice.
I wonder how that custom car that they got made for him.
It's ridiculous.
I wonder how that worked out last year.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really asked him about that. You heard about that, right? He got a custom car made so we could watch film during the 2-hour plus drive back and forth to San Diego.
Top 5.
I wonder how that really worked out for him.
This is why.
It was probably a sweet ride they got set up.
True, but this is why, to me, this is not the way you want your leader to be acting. Like, to me, that's like you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of, have you seen The Replacement? The movie Replacement?
No.
With Keanu Reeves and
I haven't.
It's hilarious. Well,
I got a lot, Keith, on my list.
You got to watch The Replacement. I know you guys out there probably watch it. And it's about, players that they actually strike. They took a strike on the because they didn't want the certain money they're going to get, right? So they had this quarterback who was like a diva. Forgot his name. But everybody out there, I know who's seen this movie. They know who I'm talking about. And he was like a diva. And he wouldn't he thought like he was like the best thing coming.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves was the replacement player who's like that guy who's just like that.
Wait, is this Gene Hackman? Is in this? He's one of the coaches?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen bits of this.
And
I know what you're talking about.
And he's like the glue guy, Keanu Reeves. And, so the guy, the replacement, long story short, the guys come back. Martell is the guy's name. His name was Martell.
Okay.
They come back off a strike. And it was just a disconnect with the replacement players and this guy Martell because he was an asshole. But he was not like he just thought of himself. It was all about him.
Right.
He's like, I call the plays. I do this. I do that. And that Phillip Rivers reminds me of that guy. Because
so we're comparing Phillip Rivers to Keanu Reeves in The Replacements. That's
not Keanu Reeves.
His character. I know his character.
And not Keanu Reeves' character, but the other guy. I forgot the other guy's. His name was Martell, but I don't know what his actual name was. He was the actor in the movie. His name was Martell, and he was the quarterback. But Phillip Rivers and Phillip Rivers, I know if you're listening, you're probably like, Keefe is an asshole for saying that.
Look,
but it's true.
I can understand how he was maybe in denial about the move. He loved San Diego.
I
He loved the
understand that
franchise
too.
down there.
But come on, man. Every single day, somebody has to drive you from San Diego to L.A. to get to practice. So we're gonna put. Look, I understand you're a top 5 quarterback in the league, but when's the last time you won a Super Bowl? When's the last time you won a ring? Like those things. Like
that's
Phillip
fair.
Rivers,
It's hard to argue with. You can't argue with that one.
Phillip Rivers should at least have you got enough money where fine. I understand you don't want to move your family, whatever, but you got enough money to get a condo out here in L.A.
And maybe he's done that this offseason.
Hopefully he has, but if he hasn't, that's a true like a-hole move. And let's be real about it. That you got people from the organization have to drive you back and forth home because you don't want to move from San Diego to LA. That don't make no sense.
Here's the thing. It doesn't. I get what you're saying. It doesn't bother me though as a fan. It doesn't bother me as long as his game is, he's still producing and the team's winning.
You know why it
now,
bothers me?
The team didn't play well last year during stretches as we would have liked, but his play really never has dropped off. He has been a consistent quarterback for this team. Like you said, top 5 in the league. Yeah. A lot of it obviously has been the players that have surrounded him. They've had a lot of different head coaches, and some of it's on him because he's the leader, obviously. Yeah. But his play has consistently been good. I mean, as a fan, that's really the biggest thing I care about. As long as he's watching film or whatever he's doing during that ride, I'm okay with it. It would, maybe I would have a different perspective if I was, in San Diego and I was upset that they moved the franchise. Maybe it'd be different. I don't know, but it doesn't bother me.
But he's upset.
Yeah,
he was upset that they moved the franchise.
He was.
And he's not accepting to LA here, and I just think like, look, this is your home now, man. And I'm not saying you have to stay here, but it does say something when you do that, because then what you're doing is you're saying this city doesn't like us. Or this city, we're second fiddle to the Rams, and that's not the case. They're going to be sharing this stadium over here in Inglewood. And that's what I'm saying. The Chargers, to be honest with you, were more of an elite team than the Rams were. For a long time. For a long time, the Chargers. Let's be real. The Chargers were better than the Rams. The Rams were in St. Louis and all that stuff. Chargers were better.
They had those playoff runs with Tomlinson, Gates in his prime.
Exactly.
They won a couple big-time playoff games in games actually in which they were underdogs.
Been a couple AFC championships.
Yes. You're right. They had a better stretch there than the Rams did when they were in St. Louis, when the Rams were just god-awful. You're right. That's true.
So that's how I look at it. So hopefully things will change.
Buy or sell New York being the destination that would need LeBron James the most.
Oh, we just finished talking to Babcock about New York, and I think we talked about the air though. LeBron James going to New York. Yeah.
Does New York need him the most out of all these different cities? And
New York is a strong
franchise, I should say, because the Knicks have just been bad for so long.
Yeah. I would say so. New York definitely needs him, and you haven't heard too much about New York getting LeBron James. It's been New York trying to grab Kyrie Irving, which to me I'm like, no,
he's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
It's just talk.
So I'm buying that New York Knicks need LeBron for sure. And why not? LeBron, every time LeBron James went to New York, he's putting up major numbers. It sucks the fact like he goes to New York and he torches New York for like 50, 60, and they got the crowd cheering. Yeah, I'm like, damn, this is New York. Your team's getting torched right now, and it's like you're cheering. They used to do that with Kobe Bryant. And it's like,
right.
They're like, well, we know we're not going to beat them, so we might as well cheer with them.
Yeah,
that's not New York.
You can't beat him. It's like joining mentality.
I'm used to New York being that team to compete when they had Chris Childs, John Starks.
It's been a long time.
Allen Houston. I mean, New York was a competitive team. New York was like top 3 in the East at one point in time, and some people don't know that now, because they're too young. But New York Knicks used to be a team. They used to be good in the 90s.
Yeah, the 99 finals, that feels like might as well have been 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That sucks.
The team has been they've just gone through such a losing period where nothing's gotten going.
And let's be honest, the NBA has taken a hit. The fact that New York, LA, and are not in the playoffs in the postseason.
Ratings-wise.
It has.
Those teams, though, haven't, because people still go out. I talked about this with a friend of mine from New York who's a Knicks fan. It's the same thing with the Lakers here. When the Lakers are bad, people still come out to Staples. It's the same thing in New York with the Knicks. When they're bad, people still go to the Garden. They still sell just as well if the team was at the top of the conference.
They sell, but that finals, that postseason,
the ratings are killer
sucks
for the league.
Yeah, it hurts.
It is.
So, they got to get back themselves. They got to find a way to get back on top. New York's got to make some moves and make some right picks. I think the addition of Michael Beasley, they had some great players. If they can keep him on track, because he's very talented. They got Kristaps Porzingis, who's the guy that they want to go. But let me tell you something. I think if they don't, if they don't get the right person in there, they're going to lose Kristaps too. Nobody's talking about that, but he wasn't happy with New York at one point. They blamed it like it was on Phil Jackson. But the bottom line is people want to win. And when you're not winning, you make a lot of enemies. And so, that's what you're seeing right now when we had mentioned about Tyronn Lue over there at Cleveland, and he didn't say anything, but he shook his head and nodded and like, oh man, he's not coming back, as LeBron James not going there. So
I said the safest bet you can make this summer with free agency in the NBA is that LeBron is not going back to Cleveland.
Not going, guys.
I still feel that way.
All you Cleveland fans out there, I feel bad for you. That's in. It's in the storybook.
That franchise is changing up. It'll
Kyrie
be a lot
Irving's
different.
gone, and LeBron James.
Think about it. If LeBron does leave, and they really don't add anyone else, Cleveland, they might not even make the playoffs.
Come on, when you have your GM come out, Dan Gilbert, and said we can win a championship without LeBron James,
give me a break.
That could tell you right then and there he ain't coming back.
Give me a break. That's a joke and a half.
You don't
to hear
say
that.
anything like that, especially when he haven't made the decision yet.
Well,
if that's the case, that something that somebody else doesn't know.
Dan Gilbert's had a very interesting career being the owner of the Cavs during the LeBron James era. Really has been. You know what I mean? I mean, he's gone from one extreme to the next. And now he seems to kind of going back to the, writing the letter type of stage here.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but idiotic. Hey, today the Houston Texans, they decided to lock up inside linebacker Benadryl McKinney with a $50 million extension, Keith. We saw also in the news this week that the Cowboys, they paid offensive lineman Zach Martin a pretty big hefty amount as well to be on that offensive line down there in Dallas for quite some time to come here in the future. Buy or sell that NFL teams are just blowing way too much money on guys who haven't proven a lot recently.
Oh, freaking buying that all the way. I'm like, who? Benardrick? I can't even pronounce his name right. Like McKinney. If it's not J.J. Watt or Clowney.
Yeah, Clowney
or Bernard or Hopkins.
Yeah.
I'm not buying. You're not pulling one of those players. $50 million.
That's some serious change.
Like, come on.
This is just a great example of how much teams and the league pulled in revenue-wise.
Yes.
Last year, going into this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. It's growing on trees.
Yeah. See, they got a lot of money to give this. They need to put some money into this mental health. We just finished talking about.
Exactly.
These guys wigging out. That's the problem. Giving all these guys all this money, and they don't know what to do with it. So, can you give us some? Hey, behind the mic with Brad Dallas, we need some money. Please give us some of that money, NFL.
Oh yeah, we definitely would love to. Get in on that.
We'd love to take that.
Today, John Gruden, he's been in the news a lot here recently. Mm-hmm. He tapped. Do you remember on Monday Night Football they had Jerry Austin? He was the official. He was the rules analyst expert for them that they went to when there was controversial plays on the field. Well, he left his post at Monday Night Football, and he's been hired by the Raiders and Gruden to be a consultant for the organization. Mm-hmm. So no more Jerry Austin on Monday Night Football, as a former ref goes. My question to you is, who is currently or who's been, throw Austin in there as well if you like, who's been the best former NFL who's transitioned over to one of those major networks? Who's the best rules analyst right now? You got him. You got Mike Pereira at Fox, Mike Carey at CBS. Mm-hmm. But those are kind of the big guys that stand out. You like any of those guys? Does anyone do? I'll put it to you this way: does anyone do that? Some people think it's almost unnecessary. It's not needed. Does anyone do it justice? Does anyone do that job justice?
No.
No, no one.
No.
You don't like it at all.
I don't like it. I don't like it, man.
Steve Javie with the NBA.
Okay, Steve Javie. He's been doing. I like him.
Okay.
But
Dean Blandino, I think he did some stuff for.
not Dean. I was thinking about him just a few minutes
Yeah.
ago. Steve Javie.
Steve Javie. Okay.
Steve Javie's the only one that I like personally. Nobody else has really done it for me. Nobody else. Now, what's interesting is some of these guys transitioning to sports, analysts and things like that.
Right.
That's been like Michael Irvin. It's been entertaining watching some of these guys.
Oh yeah, totally.
Michael Irvin and a lot of these other guys. I like.
There's a lot to pick from on that one.
Oh my gosh.
Who do you like on that?
Honestly, I like Kurt Warner.
Really?
I like Kurt Warner.
I'm surprised to hear you say that.
I like Kurt Warner. I like what he has to say, and he says some good. He knows what he's talking about. I don't know. Michael Irvin can be very aggressive. You know who else I like? Deion Sanders, man. He's hilarious.
Prime is also always great.
Prime time's hilarious, man. So he brings something to the game. But Kurt Warner, I like what he has to say a lot. A lot of times he's pretty dead on his stuff, especially when it gets to the quarterbacks and stuff like that. He has some great insight. Read. Yeah, so that's what I like to see, and I would love to see Kurt Warner lead him. I would. But
give me Ray Lewis for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Give me Ray all day, every day. Yeah. I mean, that never gets old to me.
Yeah, Ray Lewis is fantastic.
That one never gets old. Hey, people ask me a lot, what is the best sporting event to go to here in LA? What's the best experience? A Lakers game at Staples, whether it be a Dodger baseball game. What's the best experience right now in LA?
The best experience?
You can put Anaheim in there too if you want.
Yeah, I put it all in there. I'm gonna tell you, I've been to it all.
What's the best experience?
But it ain't nothing like. Well, I'll put it like this. Lakers is great. But it's frustrating. Now it's frustrating. Like me personally, when I go, I get frustrated and it gives me a headache watching these guys play. So they give me like the most frustrating one. But I think, to be honest with you, right now, with football back in the city, I'm gonna go into a Rams or a Chargers game, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with football because.
I love
basketball. I love
I know.
That's my heart and soul.
I know.
But I'm frustrated with these guys.
Yeah.
And I don't like leaving games with headaches.
That's never fun.
Let me tell you what else is fun. You know what? You had these USC Trojans. That was big.
That was like the NFL team here for a long time.
That was the NFL team, because the tailgating, and this is why it's the best event. I'm going to say this. Let's go back. I'm going to say, look, I'm going to go with this. I'm still going to go with this. USC Trojans football game is the best experience in LA so far, and I think now the Rams is taking over, and it's going to be that team, and these for these reasons why. USC was also ranked when they were ranked in the top. They're always ranking the top 5 in the country, right? Yeah. So a lot of people come out, they tailgate, and I'm talking about when they tailgate, they get out there at like 4 a.m. Sometimes give the day before. It's
funny, like tailgating, it's different East Coast to West Coast.
Okay.
Very, very different. Especially like USC at the Coliseum there, because it's just all like, it's a parking lot, essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas like on the East Coast, you got a lot of rolling hills, a lot of green pastures, you know what I mean? So it's a lot different in that sense. And it's a unique experience. They both are a lot of fun. I'll say that, but different experiences.
The college games are the funnest because these people go out and they go it's like even the older folks, they're reminiscing in their college days.
Yes.
So they're out there and they're drinking and they're watching the game. And these people bring out DirecTV satellites. Sitting right in front of the Coliseum and watch the game.
Some of these people have some sweet deals, even better than I have like back in my house sometimes.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yes. So I'm going to say this. Going to a college football game is the number one. And then I'm going to say the Rams and the Chargers will eventually be that number one. They got to win, though. But they'll eventually be that number. Because
they got the makings.
Yeah, it's everything building up to the game is why it's so exciting to see. So I'm going to go with that.
Who's got more pressure on them this fall? Clay Helton at USC or Chip Kelly in year 1 at UCLA?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because you know what Chip is capable of doing in college. Chip, you got to remember, Chip Kelly dominated Pac-10, a.k.a. Pac-12.
This comes up a lot here.
Yes.
This comes up a lot. Keith really misses the Pac-10.
It's about the Pac-10, man.
They should have just kept the name.
Yes.
Like the Big Ten, when that expanded, they decided to keep the name. They should have just kept the name.
Yeah. But, the Pac-12 now, Chip Kelly is a great recruiter. He knows how to recruit guys. He dominated the city of LA in recruitment. I mean, those guys from Dorsey High School, from Crenshaw High School, he's grabbed all those city boys out here, and they were just, it was like a filter. It was like modern days of at USC, like modern day filters players into USC. It's the same thing with Dorsey concept. And Crenshaw. They used to filter. They would filter guys to go to Oregon, and now Chip Kelly's at UCLA. The thing is, though, the difference is what's going to be so tough about it is UCLA is a harder school to get into. It's very hard to get into, and the bar is set high, which is great because it's education is always first with these guys. But for me, I'm going to say this. I think that it's more pressure on Clay Helton because if he loses, and I've said this, if he loses to UCLA this year, if he loses to Notre Dame this year, especially with a Chip Kelly coming back, this is the problem. When Chip Kelly came back to the Pac-10, a.k.a. Pac-12, people are like, oh, a lot of coaches are like, oh, no. Because he is like the Bill Belichick of that.
That's a great comparison.
And so it's just like, oh no, here we go. And then all of a sudden, so there's no pressure there. They know historically what he's done in the Pac-12 and the Pac-10, aka Pac-12, and so they know what he's done. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Clay Helton though, he has more of a pressure on him because the embarrassing losses that they've had. USC has just been that team that, ranked high and then they always fall off. And you're like, why do they continue to do that? It's frustrating for USC fans. It is. It's frustrating for the boosters. It's frustrating for the alumni. It's frustrating for a lot of people, fans out there, when they see that, and they're like, "This team is so down. It's always ranked in the top 5, top 10 in the beginning, and I'm sure they're going to be ranked in the top 5, top 10 this year again, and they end up always falling off. It's a lack of focus, and some of these kids. So, I'm going to say that Clay Helton's got more pressure on him than Chip Kelly does.
Not to mention, USC's got a really tough schedule to begin the year.
Oh, absolutely. We haven't talked about this before. They play UNLV, and then after that they go to Stanford, and then at Texas.
At Texas.
Yeah.
Then you come home on a Friday night. We know those Friday night games are never easy. No. Take on Washington State, who beat them last year. So they got a tough start. Yeah. I agree. I mean, this is like I don't know if I want to call it a make it or break year for him, but they need to do something. Like, unofficially, they need to do something. We were talking
about hot seat last year with him.
Yeah,
for a second.
I don't know if
they didn't give him up. Yeah, they're like, look, he's.
Do we think he's actually on the hot seat though?
I don't think so. He's not going to be actually on the hot seat, but he will be on the hot seat if he loses UCLA or Notre Dame. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
those are 2 games you cannot lose. And people say what you want. I'm sorry, you can win every last one of those games right there, but if you lose to Notre Dame the way you lost to them last year, at home, it's a problem. If you lose to UCLA, who's just picked up a new Chip Kelly, and you lose to them, and even if it is on the road, I don't know, they play them here this year, or they go on the road to UCLA, they go to Rose Bowl. I believe they go to Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl.
It's a problem. You cannot lose those 2 games. You can't.
Not to mention they go back-to-back at UCLA, then home against Notre Dame to finish up the regular season.
That sucks.
That does.
Because that is,
I
you know-
hate when they do that. I hate when they schedule it. It's not only the Pac-12. They do this in other conferences
Yeah.
across the country in the Power 5. I hate when they schedule rivals back-to-back weeks.
Yes,
I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Come on, mix that up a little bit.
they should.
I mean, really, it just kills you when you get that back-to-back, but then, they'll throw in a couple cupcakes in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Put that tough one in the middle of the cupcake schedule.
True.
They should do that.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree.
Is Chip Kelly on the flip side? Does he really just? It seems like you think he's going to pick up where he left off when he was with the Oregon.
Oh yeah, it may take him a year, maybe 2.
With that high flying offense.
With that high flying, he's going
Yeah.
back to that. He's going back to that. You can tell that the guys that he's picking up. He's going back to that. And why? Why reinvent the wheel? He knows what works in college, and it's going to work. I thought Chip Kelly should have never left in the first place. He's a great college coach. That some of the guys are just better in college. Like,
Absolutely.
look, Coach K, he's a great college coach. He probably wouldn't do well in the NBA because I may be totally wrong because he coaches the USC. He coaches the USA team, and they won gold. So I may be totally wrong on that. But there's some guys. I can say this: Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino coached at the Boston Celtics, came back. Start coaching. He was first started college, transitioning over to the Boston Celtics. Didn't work out for him professional. Went right back to college, and he was there until now. He doesn't have a job.
I always wondered how it would have worked out for Krzyzewski if he would have came to the Lakers. How he would have done. I always think about that.
At one point they were trying to make that push and get
it
him.
was really close to happening.
Yeah.
That was back in like 2004 after Phil left.
Yep.
After they lost the championship that season,
Yep.
they really came close to courting him, and he obviously stayed at Duke. For obvious reasons, but they were close. I always wondered how that would have worked out, how he would have done, not just with USA basketball, like you said, but actually with coaching a team in the NBA.
Yeah.
But
you just can't see Coach K leaving Duke. Like Coach
no,
K,
he'll be and he's got no intentions of leaving.
Let's just say this: it's just like it's a stamp on certain players. Like when you look at Indiana, who do you think of in Indiana?
Bobby
Coach.
Knight.
That's it.
Yep.
It's just and it's the same thing with Duke. When you think of Duke, you think of Coach K, and it feels like when you think of North Carolina, you think of Dean Smith.
Yep.
Like it's just certain guys, like they just got that stamp on it. Like they're just that's their university. That's what you think of, So
Bill Self, Kansas at this point. I think he's almost like gotten into that realm now, where it's like
he's always gotten that wrong. Whatever. Yeah, I still think it's a divide of Roy Williams and him. Yeah, Bill.
Okay.
I still think there's a divide there. When some people may think of Roy Williams, when they think of Kansas, some people think of Bill Self. But when you think of things like Louisville, you think of Rick Pitino. So that's the thing is like those things you would never take place to that. Like Chicago Bulls, y'all think of what? Phil Jackson. If you think of coaches,
right?
Phil Jackson.
Yeah, of course.
So
it's almost like the Bulls didn't even exist before the 90s.
Exactly.
That's 10 questions here on Behind the Mic. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll discuss everything else that's going on in the world of sports. Final thoughts of the week coming up at around 8:50, and everything else here. Behind the Mic, live from Kings Cove in El Segundo. Back after this.
Every 17 minutes, make a wish makes the impossible possible.
So I think
They tame dragons.
Yeah.
They bring Saturn to Earth.
He was like, "Did that work out for y'all?"
That was great. That was great. Oh yeah.
We got 2 for 1.
Yeah, totally
They
right.
make unicorns fly. All to give children the strength they
Eagles just got
need
their
to
Super Bowl
fight their
rings.
critical.
Did they already?
They just
Every
alerted.
wish.
Oh no, I guess this is about right. That's about
Help us
right.
make sure
I wonder what
every
they look
wish
like
comes
on
true.
Twitter.
Join us.
I know, right?
at Wish.org.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child
So I'm
gets to
sure
be
like
carefree.
you have that, right?
1 in
so
6
you're live
kids in the
streaming, right?
U.S. are hungry.
So there should
1
be
in
a way,
6.
even on live
That
stream.
little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the energy because she's
I
hungry.
think
School lunch will be
you
her
would
only
almost
meal today.
need.
It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country.
I don't know.
But it's something that Feeding America is working to
What
change.
you know what it is? You
Each
could
year, the
do
Feeding
like a
America
separate
network of
laptop.
Food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food.
You would
that
almost
would have
you
gone
would need
to
like a
waste.
separate laptop
This
and
food is
probably
then
like
provided to families and
some kind of
children in
separate
need.
cord going
Being
into
a kid
it.
should be about using
thinking?
your imagination, learning, and having
See,
fun.
you would need definitely
These
need like a
children
switcher
shouldn't have to miss
monitor
out
type
on
of thing
simply
because
being a kid
like this wouldn't
because
come
they're
up
hungry.
anywhere. That's the
find out
thing.
how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
This really
Brought
just
to
like
you
is
by
solely
Feeding
for
America
one
and the
camera.
Ad Council.
And then if you would want to do 2 or
Battles
more,
aren't won
you would have to get
solely on the field.
a separate
That's a
like
common
an HDMI
misconception.
port. It's got multiple ports for it.
Battles are
and you
won
would need like a
within.
hardware or a software switcher, probably
Over
hardware,
enemies of
'cause it's a little
fear.
easier to manage.
Enemies of doubt.
So it gets to be even more stuff. That's
In that
that's
place
where like
where
someone else
promises
comes
are
in
kept.
to help out with that.
We're not on, right? So nobody can
Promises
hear
to
us.
oneself.
Right, yeah, it's not on.
So like KBC, how
Promises to one's community.
So I was thinking about how would we do.
Promises to one's country.
I figure out how to do like a Skype or FaceTime.
In the heart of every
So
Marine,
we do web series. It's gonna be-
you'll find a promise.
Yeah.
A promise forever
That,
kept.
because that's a lot to do. But I think
A
call-in
promise
would be
of battles
that
won.
format of call-ins and call-in interviews. Just stick with that format.
Well, yeah, that's
Fine.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's gonna be huge to do that. Take
Yeah.
callers and things.
Buckle up.
Also, we're gonna have to like pre-record the call-in.
Go to the store.
Late night.
Yeah, probably we'll have to do that unless we can get some people who are on the West Coast here. I mean, that might be.
A lot
be
goes
tough.
on in the car, but you're in
usually
control.
you're probably-
So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until
Yeah,
they buckle
it'll
up.
work.
Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Yeah, and
A message
the
from the
quality
National
will
Highway
get to
Traffic
be good.
Safety Administration and
That's
the
just
Ad
almost
Council.
like the studio.
Dave, what are you?
So yeah, that shouldn't
Just sending
be
a
problem
gift to
doing
Dave
that.
2037.
Who?
Me in the
Sometimes it would
future,
be great
I
if
save a
you
little
do it
money from
sometimes
every
earlier
paycheck
than
as a
you
gift to
expected.
Dave 2037, so he can spend it
Don't
on
have to
things like
necessarily do it
anti-gravity
at 7.
boots or a
Sometimes,
hologram
can we do it
Doberman,
early
something
or-
cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard.
Exactly, yeah,
What are you getting
it's
Steve
even better.
2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve
And then we'll try
2037
and
would just
we'll do
fend for
incorporate the
himself.
sports bars. and
All
Sunday-
right,
or,
but don't
Fridays.
expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
That's the plan.
You want to have money in your future?
so
You got to start saving
every week
now.
it was like
Putting some money from every
trying to go
paycheck into a savings
the whole
account or
objective is
contributing
trying
to
to
your
have a
401k
sponsor
can make a
that
big difference later. Put away a few
That's
bucks,
right.
feel like $1 million bucks. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey,
Yep.
let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine because he is
Exactly.
going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of
Yeah,
Certified
it doesn't
Public
have
Accountants
to
and
be
the Ad
like.
Council.
Could
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our
like we
military
can do,
service
like, the
members
towers
or their
well, we can maybe
families,
experiment with
asking
that.
them to put themselves in harm's way,
It's not sports,
to
but it still
endure it
kind of
all.
works. So they have, like,
But we
bars,
do
things like
understand
that.
that it's our turn, our
Yes,
duty,
that-
to
something
keep
like
them
that could work.
secure for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Wounded Warrior
Doesn't have to
Project
be
long-term
fully
support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might
Yeah.
stand
At a certain time,
at
they get
ease.
dead.
Join us at findwwp.org.
Yeah, we'll see.
This is Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
I think a lot of people on that Hermosa, Manhattan here will play ball.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do.
They're competing with each other, and they're like, whatever we gotta do, they will play ball.
Exactly.
This would, I think, if you have, I think they would because they're like, they want to bring more people. They want to get busy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I think it works out for everybody. That'd be tough. Yeah, that'd be tough. I don't know if I see that one. But we'll see. We'll put it out there.
You're listening to Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
Every 17 minutes, Make-A-Wish makes the impossible
Yeah, he has.
possible.
Yeah, he has. He likes
They
it.
tame dragon.
He's really liking how
They bring
doing,
Saturn
like,
to
the
Earth.
live streaming I was talking about that.
They help
Where
superheroes
he's
save
like, oh, that's
entire
cool,
cities.
and, you know, he's really liking that.
They even make unicorns
No, he does check it
fly.
out a little bit sometimes.
All to give children
Yeah, I don't
the strength
know.
they
I
need
don't think
to
they're doing
fight their
anything
critical
else
illnesses.
here as far as like entertainment
Every
goes right
wish
now.
takes muscle.
But,
Help us make sure every wish
yeah, I don't know.
comes true.
I don't really know.
Join
what
us
times they
at
really get
wish.org.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm
They
Danica
only
Patrick,
open at,
and
like,
proud aunt.
3, 4 o'clock
Watching my nieces
in the
grow,
afternoon.
play, and learn is
they're not open.
amazing.
They're not open
But
at
not
12.
every child
Oh,
gets
they're
to be
not.
No, yeah,
carefree.
they only open at,
1
like,
in
3
6
o'clock.
kids in the U.S. are hungry.
I don't know,
1 in
I just-
6.
You know,
That
there
little
was- I
girl
remember
sitting
last
alone
week
at the
when we were a
playground,
little after,
she can't
remember some
play like the
people
other
came in at
kids.
later league
She doesn't have the
and stuff,
energy
so it
because
must
she's
be later.
hungry.
It must be, like,
School
midnight.
lunch will be her
I would
only
say
meal
so.
today.
It's gotta be.
It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry.
When we come back?
To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and
we
the
did
Ad Council.
McKinley.
You're
We
listening to
did
Behind the Mic.
What about
Brad Delius.
one second, I saw something on here.
Battles aren't won solely on the field.
Well, we are Dodgers is one thing.
That's a common
We got
misconception.
NBA draft. The NBA
Battles
draft,
are won within,
We talked about that.
over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt.
You know one thing I was going to talk about?
Yeah.
I was going to
In
be
that
using for
place
final thoughts.
where promises are
Was
kept.
LeVar Ball and others were on the
Promises
herd this
to
weekend.
oneself.
Yeah.
I was going to talk a little bit about that because I thought
Promises
like
to one's
just
community.
in general, like they just the JBA.
Promises
is,
to
they're about
one's
to come in
country.
and play now and all this stuff like this new league and stuff like that. So I was going to
In
use
the
that as
heart
a
of
final
every
thought. I
Marine,
thought it was stupid, but I think we should go into.
you'll
I don't
find
know.
a
I think we should go
promise.
back to like.
Yeah, we can do that. We can go through
forever kept.
let's go through some free agents outside
A
of LeBron.
promise.
Yeah, I think we go free agent.
Battles won.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about
I
that.
think we go free agent and then go into final thoughts from there.
Okay. Yep. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. 'Cause I think we covered everything.
Really have. Yeah.
Let's look at the free agents.
Yeah. Welcome back behind the mic. We're live going into 9 o'clock tonight from Kings Cove inside the Toyota Sports Center, El Segundo, just off of Nash Street. Great spot if you've never been. Always a great time here. Such a unique setup. We always talk about this a lot, but you really don't get this anywhere else in the South Bay area and beyond. So always here Thursday nights, the one and only Kings Cove from El Segundo. Don't forget, if you can't make it out, you can always listen online, behindthemicshow.com. You can also check us out on the go, the Behind the Mic app, and check out our YouTube page with all of our great new live streaming and interviews that we're putting out there as well. One thing we haven't touched on tonight is some of the free agents to be this summer in the NBA who are not named LeBron James or Paul George for that matter. Kevin Durant, he can opt out, Keith, as we all know. I mean, let's assume he's going back to Golden State. I think that would be somewhat crazy if that doesn't happen. A guy, though, no one's talking about is DeMarcus Cousins. And
Boogie.
Yeah, where he could potentially wind up. Where would be a good fit for Cousins? If it's not back with the Pelicans, where would be a good fit?
The Lakers.
Yeah.
They need a center. They're not going to bring Lopez back. I think, I don't think he's going back to the Pelicans because one thing he did at the end of the season is he stopped following the Pelicans, and that came out. And so I think he knows something more than others. A lot of things that people are worried about is his Achilles injury. That is a very hard injury to come back from. Let's call it what it is. It's a very hard injury. Kobe Bryant came back from it, but Kobe Bryant's very rare. He's a rare breed. He's a different breed guy.
Yeah, we could say that with assurance. That's an easy one.
Boogie Cousins coming off that Achilles injury. Man, the Achilles injury is probably the hardest injury to come back from for a basketball player. Very hard to come back from. I know he's rehabbing and things like that, but if he does, and he bounces back and plays the way he's used to playing or accustomed to playing, then, I think the Los Angeles Lakers should definitely make a play for him.
How about Clint Capella, who played well for the Rockets in the postseason? What do you think? Where would be a good spot for him?
Stay with the Rockets.
Just stay with Houston?
Yeah, Clint Capella, I'm not he reminds me of like a little bit of an Andrew Bynum. He needs somebody like the style of play that he plays is jumps up and just dunks the ball and he rebounds. He kind of remind me of like what Serge Ibaka was.
Yeah. Okay.
Away, or Andrew Bynum was. And remember when those guys were traded and gone from their original place where they were, they really haven't done much.
No.
And so
nothing. Andrew Bynum did next to nothing.
Yeah, next to nothing. He's out here in Westchester, California, and lives out here, and sees him go to Cheesecake Factory every now and then.
Really?
So, yeah. All right.
What's he doing these days?
Nothing.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
So,
hopefully those knees recovered.
Yeah, hopefully so. But Clint Capella needs to stay where he's at. A guy that I think people need to be eyeing is Tyreek Evans. Nobody's talking about Tyreek Evans. Unrestricted free agent this year. A sensational guard. And
why is it that people aren't talking about
I don't
it?
know.
Well, people are fascinated with what's going on with LeBron right now.
Yeah, I think
clearly.
LeBron kind of takes over that.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about that. And, these are the type of guys like Tyreek Evans that will probably constantly get partnered up with LeBron James. And people are forgetting about Tyreek Evans, how good he is, and the big guard he is, and how he can get to the basket and score. He's a force to be reckoned with. So, I don't know. I think he would be a great fit for someone like the Spurs or, the Magics. They need someone like him.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see. Orlando is a team who could probably use some help. Sure, I kind of like that fit right there. How about DeAndre Jordan?
DJ. DJ, people are talking about DJ partnering up going to Houston.
Well, it's interesting for all these guys who are, who can be a good contributor to any team who's ready to win. Houston makes the most sense because they're the most ready to win outside of Golden State.
Yeah.
You can make that case, or really, Houston is right behind Golden State because they're better than anyone in the East.
Yeah.
I think we could agree on that.
Exactly. They are. And I think DeAndre Jordan needs, Chris Paul made DeAndre Jordan's career. And I think even though I'm going to say this, and I know DJ, but DJ and Chris Paul, I think they can play together. They're not the best of friends. But I don't know if I can see him going. I can see DJ just saying, I want to go, I'm going to play. I'll play with him.
Yeah.
He's an upgrade from Clint Capella.
Yeah.
If you get rid of Clint Capella, then you can pick up, go pick up DJ for sure. So, another unrestricted free agent I'm thinking of is JJ Redick.
That's another one. To me, the best fit is Philly. Just to go back.
Really?
With them. Yeah.
I think the Lakers.
Well, the
Lakers need a shooter.
Anybody, yeah.
They can use a shooter. JJ Redick is a shooter. You need a shooter. But again, you got Grayson Allen coming back in, and he's reported and done well, and he's similar to JJ Redick.
Similar.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Lakers are.
And they can get
a
cheaper deal.
I don't know if he falls to the Lakers though.
I think I think he's gonna go early.
Yeah.
But
I mean, people were down on him. Some people because of some of his little antics. But with that being said, the talent always shines through the most. People will take him in a heartbeat if they have the chance in the top 10.
Yeah. So I don't know. JJ Redick would be a great pick. What the Pelicans really do have to worry about is Rajon Rondo, that he's re-signed back. Nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, he was a big catalyst to a lot that they were able to do down the stretch last season. You know what I mean? Like they really need him back big time.
And you need to know because look, Rajon Rondo. Let's be honest with you. Rajon Rondo, if he didn't get hurt last year, 2 years ago when he was on the Bulls, they beat Cleveland.
Yeah, they did.
They beat Cleveland. So, Rajon was out, and that was it. So, Rajon plays a big role in the Pelicans' success. Hopefully the Pelicans re-sign him. Hopefully he goes back to them. But Rajon Rondo is a guy that I think the Pelicans need to focus on. A person they look to get. So, a lot of these guys and the guys that we're talking about, the Michael Beasleys, the Wayne Ellingtons, who is an unrestricted free, Thaddeus Young, and we can go down the list of all these players. Dwayne Wade's an unrestricted free agent. Nobody's talking about that either. A lot of these guys, I think, they're going to wait until they're going to see where LeBron goes because if they get another super team, if the Lakers get a super team or do anything, these are some of the guys they can sign, like them the lesser guys, and just on a minimum basis. Will Barton, another one like that. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But when we're talking about Houston's got a lot of decisions they got to make. They got a lot of unrestricted free agents. They got Trevor Ariza, who's an unrestricted free agent. You got Clint Capella, that's an unrestricted free agent, and they want max deals. And that's a problem when you're trying to get that. And then where's Isaiah Thomas going to go?
That's another
Nobody's talking about that. Another guy who wants a max deal. Now
Jabari Parker is a restricted free agent with Milwaukee, and they kind of control him coming back or not. He probably wants out of Milwaukee. You would think that. Probably.
Yeah. I think so. And I think he goes out. But you know what? I can see Jabari Parker going to New York Knicks.
They need to make a splash. Big time. They really, really do.
Yeah.
That was something. The thing is, I don't know what it's going to take to really get someone big to go there, because they're never really going to break through until they get a big guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless they just get lucky through the draft and continue to draft really well, and everyone just kind of continues to play along well with Porzingis moving forward. But they're just going to continue to have a hard time drawing a free agent. They really are.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
I got a big one for you, too. I actually got two of them for you. Where does Jeremy Lin and where does our Brook Lopez go?
Ooh. I think at this point, Jeremy Lin would be happy with any team. Seriously. And Brook Lopez, at this point, how much can he really give you? He's a quality guy. He's up
still
front.
putting up 20 and 10.
That's good. That's better than most, I guess, right?
Yep.
At this point. A good fit for him. Adding as... That's a tough one. It just depends, like you said, on where some of these other guys go, the marquee guys.
Yeah.
And where they decide to go. Maybe a Miami would be interesting.
Yeah.
For Brook Lopez. That maybe, if Dwayne Wade comes back, which I think most
a backup for Hassan Whiteside?
Yeah, I think they would maybe need something like that, because Whiteside, he was kind of, his confidence might have been shaken a bit there at the end of last season. So I think maybe the Heat could be a good fit for Lopez, maybe to back him up, maybe to provide some, guidance, if you will.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see something like that going down.
Yeah. And I think Jeremy Lin, to be honest, would be a great fit for someone like, I think a backup for Toronto Raptors. Kyle Lowry, Jeremy Lin.
They could use it, especially with Lowry getting up there now.
Yeah.
They could use it.
They can definitely use somebody like him in that case. And, a person that they need to be talking about as well is Aaron Gordon. Where's Aaron Gordon? He's a restricted free agent. He's a restricted agent this year. And you need to find – I think if you don't get any help for him, he's going to leave for sure. He's from the L.A. Well, he's from up north.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't mind being a little closer to home. So I think they need to – Orlando's a great place to play. In fact, he's the face of that franchise over there right now.
Yeah.
But you got to get him some help, and it's going to be interesting to see what type of moves Orlando makes to get him help, because – there's nothing there but him.
Yeah, they need more help, to say the least. We'll continue to monitor all these free agents. Free agency doesn't get started till July, but I think people are ready for it now.
Yeah.
Right now, right? Draft is next week. We'll talk about that more next week on the show. What Phoenix is going to do with that number 1 overall pick. A lot to get into with the draft on next week's shows. Final thoughts as we wrap up this week of Behind the Mic.
My final thoughts are going to go to... I hate putting them in the media like this all the time, but I'm going to. LeVar Ball and LiAngelo.
Oh,
LiAngelo Ball.
That's the gift that just keeps on giving.
Jeez, they were on the herd this week, and
they made their rounds.
They made their runs around, and they said, what's interesting enough, it's you can totally see a kid that's just like he's quiet. He's just like, I'm just saying whatever my dad says, that's what I'm gonna say. But realistically, LeVar came out and said that if the Lakers don't eventually get his sons, that he's gonna move. They're gonna move on and this and that. I think that is an idiot thing to do. But it's not looking too well for LiAngelo because he's not going to get picked up. He's not going to get picked up in the, from the Lakers.
Yeah.
For that point.
No, really.
And some people say he's not ready for the NBA. He says, I feel like I am. I'm an NBA player. My dream is to play with my brother, and that's great. I like that whole concept.
Yeah.
But they're just living in the fantasy world, man. I don't think I feel bad for this kid because he should have stayed in college. And I think it's just living in a world like the JBA and all this stuff that's coming on June 21st, with LaMelo. We saw these guys practice. I saw their practice. They had it on like a YouTube and they had the practice, and it was just a joke, man. It's like it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for the Ball family at all, and it's a shame to see, but it does not look good for those boys. And they could have went a whole different route, and they didn't, and they went the vision of their father's route, and it's not showing up well. It doesn't look good for them. So, my whole thing is, I think you can't live, when your time's up as an athlete, you can't live within your, live
vicariously through them. Yeah,
you can't live through them. You gotta let them dream and do their thing the way they want to do their thing. It's good to guide them in certain ways, but giving them the wrong guidance, the attitude. They said LiAngelo Ball had an attitude, like he was very arrogant. There was reports saying that he was a very arrogant guy and had a lot of attitudes, and you couldn't understand anything. And then his answer to the question they asked him, they said, what do you say about people who report that? Well, I can work out on myself. I do my own workouts. Like, I don't need people to tell me what to do. Like, I got my own workouts.
It's rough to watch him sit with LeVar in
yes,
these interviews.
It is. And then LeVar backs it up. And it's just like, dang, like, are you serious? And then you got, you say stuff like, oh, LeBron James can't, this will really keep you out the running from getting the Lakers. LeBron James couldn't join no Triple B's. Like, he couldn't be on part of my shoe company. Like, he
doesn't even realize how stupid that sounds.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound right, And so it's good to have confidence in your sons. And, you're saying that your sons are the best duo. He would coach the Lakers if he could. He said,
how about the ties, by the way? The Triple B ties.
They look like Don King. They look like a modern day Don King. Let's just be honest with you. But I feel bad I really do feel bad for that family. His kids, I think their basketball career is now coming towards the end, man. I think it's the end of the road, and I think they're going to be blackballed, and a lot of people are not going to want to see them play. I think their best bet is to probably go overseas. But I even think that's even
they tried that
already, and that didn't work out. Back. Maybe the JBA will work for them, which starts June 21st. But who wants to see regular kids out there play? It's just a pickup game. I saw the practice, and his uncle is coaching LaMelo's team. And all you saw the whole time during the practice, they were pass LaMelo Ball, he'll shoot it. And that's it. And I'm like, nobody want to see that.
No.
This is the kid that had the talent, better talent out of all three of them. And his work ethic sucks. I watched his practice. His work ethic sucks. So... it's a shame that a wasted talent just went away like that. And, the guy LeVar continues to get in the media. I'll tell you this. He knows how to get in the media, though. I'll give him that credit. But he just doesn't know how to. He lives too much and he's living through his kids, and it's just not working out.
The entertainment factor, the reality show factor, if he's still playing it up, the act's old. It's way old.
Yeah.
It's time to move on from it.
Yeah.
Hey, how's our buddy Garrett Rank, the NHL referee, who was announced last week that he qualified for the U.S. Open? How'd he do, Keith, today in the first round, you may ask, of this 118th U.S. Open from Shinnecock?